Today's episode is sponsored by the Christian Standard Bible. The goal of the CSB is to be faithful to the original languages without sacrificing clarity, all the while maintaining both accuracy and readability. With beautiful designs and multiple study Bible options, everyone, from adults to teens to children, can find a CSB Bible that they enjoy. Learn more at csbible.com. Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. I'm your host, Chris Fuller, and back in the studio with us today is my lovely wife, Janeal Fuller. How's it going, sweetie?
It's going.
All right. Well, today on this episode, we're going to be talking about The Chosen versus the World, a look at Christian entertainment. So we're going to be going over some of our discussions from The Chosen, I guess, that we've had personally, and then we're going to take a look at Christian entertainment versus like worldly entertainment, and kind of just talk about everything. It's going to be completely
mashup.
Yeah. So, without any further ado, are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Wow, we are so long-winded in these intros.
You are long-winded. I barely said anything.
Listen, we are one, so we're long-winded.
Oh.
That's just the way it goes.
That's not really fair.
How are you doing this evening, my dear?
I'm starting to get tired.
So this is it's been a couple weeks since you last heard from this beautiful lady, but it's the same night for us.
Yes.
So, and this is typically what Mark and I do. We batch record a couple episodes every single time we get together for various reasons. But so we're back here in the studio tonight. I'm looking forward to today's conversation. It actually came from a listener who wanted to know more about the different looks.
Hollywood.
Sure, we'll go with that. But before we get to that, Janeal, I have a banter question for you.
Okay.
Who's your favorite Disney character? Oh, the disappointing. I can't believe you asked me that on a podcast.
Well, didn't you guys just do this 3 podcasts ago?
But we haven't heard yours.
But this isn't fair.
I would have to say.
Male or female,
it doesn't
animal,
matter.
companion.
Okay, I'll give you mine. Okay. We did favorite Disney movie of the different decades, but anyways. So my favorite Disney character, no, not Bruno right now, is actually Cusco, because he's hilarious.
Okay.
Cusco.
I like Kronk more than I like
Really?
Cusco. Yeah.
Why?
He's funny. Cusco's self-centered.
He's hilarious. He's
funny, but...
and then you get Yzma. Alama, I thought he was supposed to be dead.
I know. He is funny, but Kronk is like...
Squeakity squeak.
Okay, he's
squeaker squeak.
not the smartest, he's not the smartest, but he's like sweet and endearing, and he like is trying to help everybody. Even though he's kind of on the bad side, he's really just trying to help everybody that's around him.
My spinach bites. Yeah,
Poor Kronk.
So you're going to go with Kronk for your favorite Disney.
No, I said that I like Kronk. Don't put words in my mouth.
I was just asking. It was a question.
I know.
Calm down.
I'm just saying. No, that's not my favorite. I'm just saying that I like Kronk better than Cusco. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay, so I'm waiting for your answer here.
I don't know.
I was stalling for you, and then you had to interject
I know, but
in the
this
stalling
is such
tactic.
a loaded question.
I'm just going to answer for her. It's Aladdin.
No.
Okay.
No, actually.
It's Simba.
I think.
Simba.
Okay.
You are my son.
No. Okay. I'm just going to make this complicated. So.
Okay.
I would say favorite, because I can't just say favorite Disney character.
Sure.
Favorite male lead character would probably be Flynn Rider.
Okay.
Don't laugh at me.
You're funny. I'm going to totally change the question.
Yes. All right. You know what? Forget it. Mickey Mouse.
Wow.
There you go.
So basic. Anyways, so because
Nothing is good enough.
that was so short, that's not true. But because that was such a short little banter, because I don't know, you're just not used to talking on the podcast, I guess.
Keep talking.
We're going to do some of the Ask Instagram questions, and I actually did several questions this time to kind of give us a little choice here or there, what we want to choose. But the first one comes from Marissa. It's for Marissa Ladson. And she said, would Mr. Nezer's chocolate factory get taken down for violations of labor laws? That is hilarious. Because Laura and there are kids. And yes, he would be shut down.
But
child labor camps is not a joke, Marissa. I'm just kidding.
Well, I was going to say, can vegetables really be children, though? But then I was thinking about it, and there's baby corn, baby carrots.
Baby carrots.
So
you got it. Yeah.
I answered my question before I
there
even
you go.
asked it.
So let's do another funny one from Marissa, because she had a bunch of them that were hilarious. Should Gru pay his minions minimum wage? Yes. Again, she's all about the labor laws here. But, yeah, I think actually the minions should unionize and fight for a fair contract.
Does he not pay them at all? I'm not that familiar with.
No, he doesn't pay them. They just, their whole sole purpose in life is to serve a master. Like, if you ever watched the movie The Minions,
I feel like
they were serving the
Yes.
dinosaur and like these different creatures, and then they found Gru.
But are they happy? Do they have all their needs met?
They are. Well, I don't know about all their needs. He's kind of mean and cruel to them. It's almost like a victim mindset, like they get set into, like, oh, well, he's our captor, so we'll just.
I see. I'm just not. I haven't watched it enough to really be. I know the storylines, but I don't I've not watched them enough.
We're gonna do all questions from Marissa tonight. So here's another one from Marissa. You should be able to. Are unibrows unattractive?
I guess it depends on who the unibrow is attached to.
You're so nice. Yes, Marissa, they are unattractive. They're disgusting. No, I don't know. I would say you could probably take care of that with a slight waxing.
No, you would. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're the most attractive choice for your face.
But for every pot, there's a lid.
If you like it, then go for it. If you feel like you can pull it off, then go for it.
For every pot, there's a lid. Is ketchup a smoothie? Another one from Marissa.
No.
Well, it's pureed tomatoes, right?
It's not.
So it is technically like, what's a smoother? What's a smoothie? Pureed what? Fruit.
Okay.
Well, tomatoes is technically a fruit, so.
It's not. It's not. No. Smoothies are like ice.
Marissa, if tomatoes are technically considered by some a fruit, wouldn't that make Bob a Fruity Tails? Not a Veggie Tales?
Okay, but smoothies are on ice.
Well,
ketchup is not blended.
Put ice in your ketchup.
Ketchup is not blended with ice and other ingredients. Well, I mean, yes, it does have other ingredients, but it's not a blended drink. No, ketchup is not a drink, so no, it is not a smoothie.
Okay.
No.
We're going to move on for another Marissa question. Who do you think is an underrated hero? You want me to answer? Samwise Gamgee, Lord of the Rings. He's an underrated hero. What person in their right mind would travel with another friend to the depths of death, and all the while, all he cares about is the comfort of his friend? Even so much so, when he thought his friend was dead, he was going to carry the ring of power into Mordor himself for his friend to finish the quest for his friend. He is an underrated hero.
You would do it.
Possibly. But I am not Samwise.
No, but you said who would do it, and I'm saying you would do it.
Maybe. Depends on the person.
If it was Mark, you would do it.
Mark, I would do it. You're my Frodo.
I don't know.
Toto baggy pants. Who's your underrated hero?
I don't know that I can comment on that. I got nothing coming to mind.
Okay, we'll move
Sorry.
on. Man, you're just the coffee's wearing off at 10 o'clock at night.
I can't think of the first person that comes to mind is Chuck.
But he's
not underrated, really.
He is the hero. I mean, the show is called Chuck.
Yeah, but he's only the hero because of the computer that is in his brain.
but he's still the hero. He's
But
not
is he the
underrated.
hero?
Well, yeah, they named the show after him. So
That doesn't mean anything.
all right. So the last question from Marissa is, my coworker said, if we are mostly water, are we fruit gushers? And she wants our opinion. Next time you see Marissa at church, be like, where do you come up with this stuff? So if we're mostly water, right? Because we're supposed to be what? Like 70% water is our body makeup or something like that, I think. So if we're mostly water, are we fruit gushers? Well, I'm not a fruit.
I would say we don't have a gummy outer layer, so no.
I am not a fruit gusher. I'm just a human gusher, a water gusher, a blood gusher. I don't know. If I burst, it would gush something.
This is disgusting.
Alrighty. So, Janeal, what coffee are we drinking tonight?
The Honduran?
The Honduran.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job. I was wondering if you were going to remember or not.
I remember.
Good job. And who roasted that? Where does it come from? What's the flavor of the body? Is it a mouthful? Is it velvety? Is it just kind of bland and watery? Does it, I mean, what is it, like a chocolate notes and caramel notes?
Official,
like,
I don't remember, and I didn't do the official like coffee tasters.
That's
sip.
it. Stop the show. We got to taste the coffee, and we'll be right. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to stop the show. Taste coffee. See, I'm getting to the slap happy stage now.
Okay, you roasted it, and I don't know any of the other answers.
I plead the fifth. Is this multiple choice? Anyways, yeah.
I think it had caramel, didn't it?
It's a medium roast. It's got a caramel nutty flavor profile to it.
Do you know how to actually sip coffee the right way?
Yes, I do.
How?
That's how. You slurp it super fast so it hits the back of your tongue. And little, like, they got cupping spoons, and like that's the proper way.
Right.
You cup it, and then you dip the cupping spoon down in the cupping cup.
Yeah, you want the coffee to hit every single part of your tongue.
All at once, right?
Yep.
So.
Okay, well, you knew more than I thought you did.
See, she doubts me at every turn.
No, I don't.
But I am Samwise Gamgee, the underrated hero.
Listen, sometimes I just want to see if I can teach you something new because you already know way too much about way too many different things.
That's not true. Anyways.
Yes, it is.
I love you. Let's go ahead and read the review for the night because hopefully, I mean, it's getting kind of late. Hopefully we're not an hour and 20-minute show again tonight.
Oh, well, look at your record.
But no promises. So this one comes from Kells256. Kells, you think that's a boy or a girl?
I am not. Nope.
And Kells writes, everyone needs to listen to the ... And it cut it off, so I don't know what the dot after the ... But anyways, it says, I've been listening to this podcast on Spotify, but wanted to leave a review. They are amazing and has helped me thought the long drive. What? Help me through, I'm guessing. The long drives alone and the quiet times.
The what is not part of the review.
I'm going to go back and restart that sentence. They are amazing and have helped me through the long drives alone and the quiet times I have had since my mom passed away 2 weeks ago. Way to make a joke on the sad review. I have fell in love, and they have answered so many questions I have had over the years that no one seems to be able to answer. I've even got my fiance in on listening as well, and it has brought us closer being able to have our own discussions about faith and our own thoughts about the topic of each show after we have listened together. You better straighten up, they're listening. So anyone and everyone needing a good laugh or just trying to get some questions answered need to listen to these 2 or 4 because we've had Beth on and now we've had you on, and so now there's 4. Thank you, Kells. We appreciate the review, and don't forget, if you have not left a review, I think we have like 16 spots left open for reviews before we do the 100th review giveaway. I didn't talk about that the last time you were on. But yeah, so if you haven't left a review on Apple iTunes, please do so now. And you can leave a rating on Spotify, but we don't see who leaves the ratings. We just appreciate the ratings because it helps the algorithms and us get into the ears of other listeners.
I think it's cool on a lot of your reviews. It's like a husband that's listened to it and has shared it with his wife, or a girlfriend that's shared it with her boyfriend or fiance. that has shared it, and then it's like it brings them together to do some sort of
what can Mark and I
activity.
say? Mark and I are just cupids. We're the spiritual cupids of society.
You didn't bring them together originally. Tink. I'm saying it's cool.
I know what you're saying. I'm just messing with you. Anyways, let's dive into this important and fun conversation of, I like the title, The Chosen versus the World. A look at Christian entertainment. Why are you giving me the look like you're just crazy and like really slap happy?
You know what? You just go for it.
We're going to go for it. So before we jump into, well, basically we'll start off talking about The Chosen. But before we jump into that, I want to read a quick little thing from BaptistPress.com. And it says, researchers found demographic splits between those who frequently or sometimes listen to or watch Christian broadcasts and those who rarely or never tune in. Self-identified evangelicals are more likely to watch Christian television at 69%, according to the survey, along with weekly church attenders, 62%, and African Americans at 54%. Wow, that's a lot. I feel like Jason Sobel right now throwing out all these numbers. People are like, what?
Nobody knows what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's the book we're reading. Well, she's listening to. I'm reading. It's called Mysteries of the Messiah. Anyways, by a guy who helps The Chosen. So there you go. Show's over. They also are more likely to listen to Christian radio compared to 32% of all Americans. About 2/3 of evangelicals, or 67%, are more than half of weekly church attenders at 57%. Are Christian radio listeners. Just under 46% of African Americans also tune in. Coffee burp. Overall, about 1 in 4, or 27%, Americans frequently or sometimes listen to Christian radio. More Protestants and non-denoms Christians. 45% watch Christian television. 28% of Catholics. So on, so forth. We'll leave the URL in the show notes if you want to continue to read on about all the statistics and numbers, but we don't want to continue to bore you. Really, honey, this is, I just have a few questions, and it's just going to be us chit-chatting. So Sit back, relax, buckle in, keep arms, hands, and all body parts inside the vehicle at all times. Are you ready?
Are we going on a Disney ride?
We're going on a magic carpet ride.
All right, cool.
I'll show you the world. Anyways... The Chosen. Have you ever heard about it, listeners? We sure have. As you can see, I even wore my Chosen hat this evening, or day, or morning, or afternoon, whatever time you're listening to it. So The Chosen, for those who do not know what The Chosen is, have you been hiding under a rock? 1, or
now
2.
That's not fair.
It's pretty popular here in the States for our non-USA listeners.
Yes, but some people might not have social media, but they have podcast apps.
Did you just say some people might not have social media?
Yeah.
Boomers. I had to fill in for Mark. He barks like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Anyways, so The Chosen is going to be a 7-season series. Say that 7 times fast.
7-season series, 7-season series, 7-season
Faster.
series. I have lost count.
Anyways, about the life of Christ, basically taking the Gospels, they're spreading them out. I think there's 10 episodes, 8 episodes,
I don't know.
8 to 12 episodes. I'm going to throw a range in there per season, and it's all about the life of Christ, starting from kind of the beginning-ish, if you add in the specials, and it's supposed to end up at the resurrection. This is a show that Janeal and I found out about back in 2020.
2020. We
2020.
watched it during lockdown.
I believe it came out in 2019 is when season 1 first aired. And we became fans pretty quickly in the year 2020 through season 1. Mm-hmm. The long-anticipated Season 2 came out in 2021, and they are getting ready to film Season 3 here, I think, in the spring of 2022, I believe.
I think so.
So, yeah, that's what The Chosen is. Janeal, what are your thoughts about The Chosen? And would you recommend it?
Okay.
I'm asking you because I know you have some Qualms.
Okay, no, now you're making it sound like...
I just have qualms.
Okay.
Not Michelle
Yes.
Qualms, though. That would be wrong.
Quan.
I guess. I don't know.
Leave Michelle out of this. Anyways.
See, I wish I was fast on the pad because I could do the little laughy thing like Mark does, but I'm
Oh, the
not
crowd
good.
laughter.
Anyways.
Okay, so I would recommend it because it's a good show.
Sure.
And I have learned things from, sadly, I've grown up in church, and I've learned things from watching the show that I was like, no, that's not right. And then we've looked it up.
So the first time I remember that, right?
Was the first episode.
Very first episode where in the first episode, Jesus, like, it was the first episode or second episode? Where Jesus like dispels the demons out of.
First one.
Was it? He dispels
the first or the second. I don't know.
Like Mary Magdala, he like dispels the demons that are like haunting her or whatever.
I just didn't remember that she was demon possessed. I didn't think that was right, and I was like, no, she wasn't demon possessed, was she? It's just like one of those things that you just nobody really. It's not like it's really talked about.
Wasn't it? They gave like a number of how many demons. Was that? Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. It was so long ago, 2020. I mean, COVID.
In the show or in the Bible?
In the show and the Bible. I thought there was something spectacular that was like, wow, I can't believe that. Because I thought they said like how many.
I think in the.
I don't know.
No, I think in the Bible it just says many, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe
but
I'm thinking
I
of
just
something
didn't.
else.
It was just one of those things. It's like what you say, you always learn. There's always something new to learn in the Bible. It never gets old because you're always going to learn something new. And it was just never something that I picked up on and didn't realize. And so when we were watching it, I was like, is that right? And so we looked it up and it was like, oh, okay, well, learned something new.
Yeah, 7. That's the thing that was like, what?
Oh, okay.
7 demons. So yeah, they did. I think that I'm pretty sure. Luke 8:2 was where they said that.
Okay.
Anyways, sorry. Anyways.
So yeah, I mean, there's been little things like that I'm like, oh, okay, learn something new every day.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is good.
And the thing about The Chosen, right, is that you will learn things, but they do state in the very first episode that, hey, listen, we are doing some things that line up with the Bible, but we are taking some creative licensing.
And this is a TV show.
And this is a TV show. And that's always been the premise of...
And it's not supposed to replace the Bible.
Right. And they encourage everybody to go read your Bible. And actually, many of the reviews that I've read on the show and podcasts I've heard about the show, a lot of people are saying, like, it's actually caused me to want to go and read my Bible more after watching the show. And it's made Jesus more of a, and we've talked about this, of it makes him feel more real seeing something like, it's like,
to me, it just makes him feel more relatable because...
Maybe that's the better word for it, relatable.
Because to me, it's like the typical Jesus movies. I don't think there's never been a Jesus show.
Not a show. There's been movies. Yeah.
Lots of movies.
The longest one was Jesus of Nazareth, and I believe that was 7.5 hours long.
Yep.
And it's on Amazon Prime.
They played it in my church.
I've always wanted to take on the mantle of watching that, but I haven't.
Is it the one that goes by like verse by verse?
I don't know. I've never watched it.
Okay. Well, in your typical Jesus movie, it's you basically, blonde hair, blue eyed.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see me doing my little pose.
And yeah, so like it just never, it's like, okay, like that's probably not what he looked like, since that's not what people look like.
That's what people in the Middle East do not look like.
Right.
That's the opposite of what they are. They are not blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus. Sorry.
Right. And so it's just that right there always makes it unbelievable.
So it's interesting how that came about, though. Sorry to interject. I'm horrible at this, and I'm getting the eye of, I cannot believe you. You interrupted me. You shall not pass. But the different looks of Jesus actually came about because the church and painters and the artistry of the Catholic Church back in the Renaissance period would, like, depending on the region they were in, would change the appearance of Christ in the paintings and stuff to make it more relatable to the Christians in that region. I just learned this the other day, and I was like, that's very interesting.
It is interesting.
So anyways.
Oh, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying that anybody did anything wrong. I'm just saying, it's probably most likely not what he looked like. So it's just, right. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. And so, you watch The Chosen and they have somebody that looks more like what?
Jonathan Roumie.
Yeah.
he's still a white dude. He's just not blonde hair, blue eyes. He's dark brown hair and brown eyes.
He does a very good job at playing.
Very good. Very good.
Jesus.
Yes.
And makes, in a lot of the Jesus movies that you see, it's like, nobody knows what Jesus was like because nobody is alive that was around him. But we are all created in the image of God. And so you would think that God gave us laughter. So you would think that Jesus would smile and laugh. And at least in most of the Jesus movies I've seen, it's always this very like stoic version of somebody who is like
never laughs,
can't crack a smile.
Right.
They have to be serious all the time.
Sure.
And like just like this perfect person, and that is completely unrelatable to me. And so I feel like not that, oh yeah, Jesus was just like us because he was perfect, right. Literally.
But they lose it, because they think that he's 100% deity, which he is. But they lose the 100% human aspect of it during those portrayals.
Right. I mean, I think God probably laughs.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one that created us. And since Jesus is God, Well,
we have a range of emotions. It shows that God saw something, he thought it was good, or he created things, he said it was good. God gets angry. There's different emotions that you can see out of God throughout the Bible. So I would assume because God made us in his image.
Right. So
laughter would be one of them.
To me, the good things about The Chosen is that, to me, it's like just made Jesus seem like a more relatable person, like somebody you would actually want to spend time with and want to be around. It's like probably how he actually was. People wanted to be around Jesus. That's why he had tons and thousands of people surrounding him. Thousands of people don't surround somebody that they don't want to be around for hours and hours and hours just to hear them speak. And so he had to have been somebody that was relatable to a certain extent with how he was as a person. And so that has been always something that I really liked about the show.
Right.
And then there's things that I don't like about the show necessarily.
Which we'll get into in a sec.
Oh, okay.
Hold off.
Oh, okay.
Hold your horses. Look, I gotta rein you in like I do Mark.
I would recommend it because it is a very good show.
What is your favorite one-liner from The Chosen? I've got mine. I said it in one of our podcast episodes a couple weeks ago.
Okay, but what's necessarily
like something that was funny or like something that touched you? Like, what's your most memorable like one-liner?
Okay, can I share two?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I don't remember it like quote.
Sure.
Okay, maybe this isn't even a one-liner. Okay, my favorite part of the entire series is probably when Jesus is talking to Nicodemus. And Nicodemus, they're talking and Nicodemus says something about, you're him,
right.
And I'm looking at the face of God or something along those lines. And I don't remember if he asks or he just hugs Jesus. I can't remember, but he hugs Jesus and it's like this, Nicodemus just breaks down crying. And I always feel like that's how it would be for all of us if we saw Jesus. It's like they had been waiting and waiting and waiting for the Messiah to come. And here he is. And it's like this emotional release of like love. I'm sure that, you would feel if we could give Jesus a hug. That's my favorite part.
Okay. What's your second?
Funny part is probably, this is maybe controversial for some people, but the funniest part to me is when, I think it's in the second season.
Oh, you're going to use mine. I already know it. Go ahead.
When Jesus and the disciples go to stay with, I forget her name. It's the woman at the well.
Yep. You're going to use mine.
Okay. Well, then you share it.
So I shared it a couple weeks ago, but yeah, it's It's the part where they're going to stay with the Samaritan woman. And I don't know if her name is actually in Scripture, but they made a name for her. It might be in Scripture. I'm not sure. Maybe it's one of those things we should look up. But so they're going to stay, and like she's back together with her husband, and the disciples and Jesus are going to stay. And they open the door, and he's like, "Oh, you're more than welcome to come in." He goes, "I just have to warn you, this one room, I've got many rooms, but one room is haunted by my dead mother or dead grandmother or whatever."
Yeah, something like that.
And the guy who's playing Jesus is like, "Ooh, I'll take that one."
It's hilarious.
Oh, I've never laughed so hard.
I think it's funny because it's like, like Jesus would be afraid if it was haunted, like it's funny.
Yeah. Well, just a lot of things happened in season 2 that were just like very humorous.
Right.
Or like season 1, right? Here's another one that since you did 1.5, I'm going to do 1.5. I did the other half of that one, but I'm going to do. But so they show Simon Peter in a brawl, right? They're fighting for money in season 1. I believe it was episode 1 or 2. I don't know. But he hits the guy. You end up finding out the guy he's fighting is his brother-in-law, and they're fighting for money. And he hits him, and the guy's like down. He's like, "And that's why they call me wine hands, because I destroy your liver." You get it, because alcohol destroys your liver. He punched him in the liver. He's like, "That's why they call me wine hands." It's like,
I don't think I ever got that
before. So then later on, he's sitting with his brother Andrew, and his brother Andrew goes, "Wine hands?" And he goes, "It sounded better in my head." To me, it was just classic. But
that sounds like something you and Mark would say to each other. Like something you would say.
I'd be like, "Hey, I'm wine hands." And Mark would be like, "Wine hands?" I'd be like, "Well, it sounded better in my head." But anyways, so kind of diverging out of that, we've shared some favorite moments of it. And I don't want to spend the whole episode just talking about The Chosen. I kind of want to dive into all of Christian entertainment versus worldly entertainment. But does Christian entertainment, right, shows like The Chosen, do they have to be biblically accurate? Do you feel like that, if we're portraying Jesus, it has to be verse for verse, nothing added, nothing taken away, like Scripture?
Okay. So yes and no.
You can't pull one of that's a me line right there. Yes and no. I agree and disagree.
I think it was. I can't remember if it was this episode that we recorded or the last podcast, but we're one, so I get to be like you.
Dang it.
So, you need to be biblically accurate as far as like his character and who he was. I say was as in him here on earth. Because I think you can go too far with messing with his character, because so as far as his character, I think 100% yes, you need to be biblically accurate. I don't really know about word for word. I think if you're not trying to like put words in his mouth, like that would be out of character, then it's probably okay.
So I would semi agree. I'm not disagreeing. I'll just give you my thoughts.
So you're doing a yes and no.
I'm doing a yes and no with you.
Okay.
I agree that I think when you're portraying Jesus, you should portray him in a semi accurate way. Like you don't want to portray Jesus, and this is the reason why we got rid of Netflix. You don't want to portray Jesus as a homosexual.
Right.
Sorry, to me that's blasphemy. That's promoting a false Messiah, and that's leading people to think that this is how Jesus was, because that's what it does. Every time you portray Jesus, right, it's going to affect how people view Christ. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be careful, and especially as Christian directors, you know, there needs to be some major thought and prayer gone into it. I think that The Chosen has done it very well, though there's been some things that we've talked about. It's like, it's kind of touching the line there on some things. They have never tried to be verse for verse biblically accurate. If it doesn't say it, then we don't do it. It's entertainment, right? It's a show, and they say, hey, this is a show. We're going to take some creative licensing where Scripture doesn't speak to this. We're going to kind of fill in the blanks. Like we're using it as a roadmap, and we're going to fill the blanks in.
I think Dallas, one of the writers, has even said that I think 90% of the show is not in the Bible as far as script.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what the percentage was.
I don't know, but it was like just as far as like the script wording, not necessarily the stories. I think most of the storylines are, it's just the actual script.
Sure.
Because it would be a very short episode.
Right.
If it was just this, what we had in the
right.
Bible.
Yeah, like
as far as
I'm sure when we get to the part where Jesus weeps, I mean, what are you going to do? Just be like, caption, Jesus wept, and move on to the next scene.
Right.
End of episode. There'd probably be portrayal of it. So I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, you want to be as close to accurate as you can because you don't want to misrepresent Scripture. But it's also entertainment, so there's that side of things. So, we think one of the most memorable lines to us is "Ooh, I'll take that one." Nowhere in Scripture does it talk about that, and I don't think that's wrong because it does show a side of Christ that I do think is within his character of
humor.
Humor, and there's been anger. The Sons of Thunder when they were doing stuff, irritation, and I think that happens because we see that throughout the Bible. That's kind of some of the character of God. Mm-hmm. So I do think that you can do entertainment. I don't think it has to be 100% biblically accurate in the stance of you have to go verse by verse and you can't leave any verses out. You have to follow whatever the storyline is because there's argument about even. The way, the Gospels are set up, is it chronological? Because, things are, the timelines are messed up from gospel to gospel. And I think most scholars believe that it's not an accurate, timeline of, this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. But it's more of, hey, these are the important stories that we're going to tell from the author's point of view and how things portrayed, and this all led up to this moment.
Or they've taken people in the Bible that are real people, that are mentioned in the Bible, and I cannot remember his name now, but the one that was sitting under the fig tree,
Nathaniel.
Okay, they took his story and they kind of created a background story for him, which we have no idea if that is anything that is close to
some of it. Yeah, it's believed through early church writings that he was some sort of architect,
right? But we don't know what happened exactly. No. That he was sitting under the fig tree.
Yes, we do. It says so in the Bible. Christ says it. I saw you under the fig tree.
Yes, I'm saying we don't know what got him there.
Oh, no. Yeah, right. I'm sorry.
Right.
I thought you were saying we don't know he was sitting on the fig tree. I'm like,
we don't know what got him to the point where he was sitting under the fig tree. And so they create a background story for him to get him to be sitting under the fig tree. And they say this is just something that we're saying could have happened. And then there's other stories like the parable of the Good Samaritan. In the Bible, it's like Jesus is sharing this story. In one of the chosen episodes, they actually, it's like they encounter one of the robbers that beat up the man on the road. And Jesus tells him the guy ended up being okay. And right. How this robber is broken up inside about this happening. And so we don't know whether it was just a story or not, or if that story actually happened and Jesus just used it.
Sure.
We don't know.
So going outside of the realm of the chosen, what kind of, thinking about Christian movies, the Kendrick brothers movies and stuff like that, mm-hmm. They're not following a biblical basis at all as far as we're telling a story from the Bible. So I mean,
right. They're just writing.
Sure. So what type of standard in Christian entertainment as a whole do you think that we should have as creators and have as viewers or listeners? Should there be a standard?
Yeah, the standard should be if you are creating Christian content, if you're making a Christian show or a Christian movie, then the content should always be, I think, the end result should always be edifying. It shouldn't.
But is that real life?
I don't think that you can have edifying. Are you being devil's advocate right now?
No.
You can have, okay, the end result of something can be edifying without the entire thing not being real. Like you can have topics that are hard and them still be appropriate, I guess is what I'm saying.
Sure. And I would agree with that.
Like, okay, Fireproof is a movie and part of the movie deals with the husband
and the pornography.
Right, but they don't
issue.
show
Sure.
what he's watching on the computer, and there's no sound.
I think that Christian entertainment, I would agree with that aspect, that Christian entertainment should have some standards. There should be some lines that you can't cross us, like pornography. Like we're not going to go show nudity or a sex scene in a Christian movie as a creator or as a viewer. We probably should hold that standard. We should hold that standard where we're not going to watch those things because those things lead to temptations and thoughts and lust in our mind, which causes us to sin. So as a Christian creator, it would become a stumbling block or a possibility for a stumbling block for other people. And as a Christian viewer, it's just a huge temptation that's going to lead into sin, more than likely, in the aspect of like a pornography scene or like a sex scene or something like that. But I think that sometimes as Christian creators, and like I look at the Kendrick brothers have come a long way from like Fireproof or like Courageous from Flywheel.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was like very cookie cutter, or like we can't do anything wrong. Like the worst part of that whole movie is he tells his wife to shut up. I'm sick of hearing you talk about this. If you don't like it, go eat something else.
But
it was like,
I think it was just because it was there first. It's like you and Mark with your podcast. It's
well, right.
You guys, I've never gone back and like listened.
You should.
To your
it's
old
horrible.
Ones.
No,
but
it's
like
not
you
bad.
guys always talk about how they're so horrible,
no,
but now you guys are
the
like,
content.
better.
The content is good. It's just the delivery process from Mark and I were not.
I mean,
they
they were basically starring in the movies themselves. I mean, the one
they still kind of do,
still does, but like they were just using church members, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
But now they're like using trained actors and stuff like that,
and better gear and more money. And
so it's just a matter of quality sometimes.
It's a progression. It's a natural progression, and that's fine. But what I'm more pointing to is like they went from like a very almost unreal situation and lifestyle. I think part of the edification process, and this is why I think testimonies, right, are so great to hear, is that there's a reality behind it, right? When I have heard testimonies of people that were gun smugglers or whatever, and they've come to Christ, and that moment that they've come to Christ and how they explain it all, and it's just like, wow, that is so powerful. And I think that in movies, right, so we're not talking so much about, but it could pertain to books or audiobooks as well. Those moments can be so much more powerful when there's some reality behind it. Now, it doesn't have to be grotesque reality, right? We're not going to show the pornography. We're not going to, I don't need to swear and cuss like a sailor to lead up to there is a powerful moment, but you can show that powerful moment, but kind of filter some of that other stuff along the way. Like you could portray like a guy closing a door, and like you got to get the message of what's going on with like a prostitute or something. Like you don't have to go in and show them anything, but you could show,
like in Fireproof, they show Kirk Cameron sitting in front of a
computer,
but your view is his face, and all you see is the light that like a TV would make on
but you get enough of it,
but you know what's going on,
but you get enough of it to know what's going exactly. And I guess that's what I'm talking about. Of there's a lot of Christian content out there that it's so not real.
It's unrealistic.
It's very dare I say Hallmarkish.
No, don't go there.
It's very Hallmarkish like it's very predictable, and it's not based on reality. I know, I love you. I'm sorry to pick on your Hallmark.
Just because something is not realistic doesn't make it not enjoyable.
Sure, but if I want to watch a Disney movie, I'm going to know, hey, I'm going to watch a Disney movie and it's not reality. But if I'm going to watch a movie that I want to see some reality, like some edification, I want some reality in it. I don't want to be like, oh no, they broke up and they're going to get together at the end and kiss.
Nobody watches Hallmark movies and expects reality.
Sure, right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's very Hallmarkish because It's not reality. But
And there are Hallmark movies that you like.
But then we watch stuff like you and I watched This Is Us, right? So this is, and how often do we like, this is so sad and depressing because it's real life. And it's like, yes, there's some things that are probably questionable, right? They're right up there on the line that there's a language and there's some stuff like where they're seen like covered up in bed and like, it's just questionable. But it's so real that it draws on your heartstrings, right?
Like the moments between the family members.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
like,
like
man,
that.
this is so real. The struggles that they have.
Situations
Right, exactly.
that would actually happen in life.
And I think that's where it speaks most and it touches our lives most. And I'm not saying that Christian entertainment has to go as far as like that, but that's where
okay,
it
so you're just
real.
saying what like things that have an impact and things that are just like literally Hallmark is purely entertainment. Like Hallmark movies don't have an impact on my life.
Right. And you can't go into it.
They're just enjoyable to watch.
You know you're going into it watching a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not going to have any impact. It's not reality.
They haven't changed the way I've lived my life or anything like that.
To me, it's no different than watching like a Disney movie, right? I'm going to watch Hallmark. I'm going to watch a Disney movie. It's an enchanted castle with a prince and a princess and there's the evil witch and sorcery and
there are never any evil witches in Hallmark movies.
No, just Disney movies.
Yep.
But that's what I'm talking about.
I know what you mean.
So going into all that, is it okay to watch worldly entertainment or listen, such as music or read or Janeal? Don't give me the Christian answer. Give me the real answer.
Yes, but that's another yes and no.
Sure.
Yes, to a certain extent, because yes, it's okay to watch things. Okay, I guess it also depends on the person, though, too.
Sure.
There are people that, for whatever reason, no, it's, I don't know how to explain it, but, like there may be somebody who maybe entertainment is just something that makes you super lazy and you never get anything done. And so maybe you shouldn't watch any kind of entertainment, Christian or not Christian.
Are you talking to me?
No.
Just kidding.
But and then there's other people that maybe the non-Christian entertainment is, I don't know, maybe it just doesn't, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't do anything good for their life. Like maybe it draws them away for whatever reason. And so for that person, no, maybe not. I don't think that there's anything wrong with non-Christian entertainment as long as it's within certain standards, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You shouldn't.
So you would say that there's a there should be some standards, but those standards. As far as
what a Christian watches,
yes.
Yes.
There's hard standard lines, but then there's some standard lines that pertain to individual personalities. Like you were saying, if somebody is going to watch entertainment and never get anything done and become slothful because they're watching entertainment, whether Christian or worldly, maybe they should say that's a standard that they need to set for themselves of maybe not just not watch it at all, but maybe, hey, I'm only going to watch it 30 minutes a day and set a time limit for themselves. Or you got people that go, hey, seeing that door close or seeing that computer screen, that's too much for me because it gets my mind going. Maybe I need to set that standard for me, though it's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Like as how they're showing it as the creator, it pushes me somewhere that I don't need to be, so I can't watch stuff like that. Or like your parents, like, and I talked about this before of, with Rodney Buse on his episode, which is actually going to air Tuesday after this episode. It's a bonus episode.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert. But we recorded it before this episode, but it's going to air this coming Tuesday. But I talked about your parents, about how they have a standard. We talked about it last episode that you were on, about they will not watch anything other than G or PG movies.
Yeah, unless it's there's a
Clear Play or something like that. Right, but they've set that standard, that's the standard, and to us, it's not a standard that we need to live by, and your parents by no means have ever pushed that standard on anybody, but that's the standard that they've set up for themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not a hard, fast Christian, you're not a Christian or you're sinning if you go past that standard, but it's a standard that they've established for themselves that they won't cross.
Right.
And that's their choice. And
right, because at the time, I mean, they made that rule when I was like, I don't know. I don't even know, for as long as I can remember. But it was more of like, okay, well, we know that the way things are right now with movies and different things, that if we set the standard with those ratings, pretty much make it
safe.
Impossible to see anything that would be inappropriate,
Sure.
which now is not the case.
Right.
You have to be careful with
G.
Yeah, I don't know about G.
Well, G has been like it was G or PG is one of them, have been like the homosexual dads like hugging and kissing and stuff like that on cartoons I've seen.
In G?
It's either G or PG.
It's got to be PG.
Maybe it's PG.
Well, I don't know, because there's Y too, and I don't know if that's just
that's like 7 and under
TV, or if they use that for movies now.
It's usually Y7 is only TV, but
but so I think it just depends on. You have to be careful no matter what anymore, because everybody has different standards of everything now.
I think the hard standards for a Christian are easy to look at, like lust, pornography. You know, those are some pretty like softball, knock them out of the park. It's easy to set those lines and those standards. And then it comes down to personal standards, which you need to self-evaluate. How does this helping me draw closer, or is it taking me away from God? And I really need to evaluate, even like music, right? So if I'm listening to the oldies station, you know, maybe I'm just listening to it for entertainment and singing along and yada, yada, yada. But maybe for somebody else, it's causing them to, I don't know, not focus on God ever, and that's all they want to do, or whatever the case may be. But that standard is not the same for them as it is for me.
Right.
And so I think we would agree that the hard standards, look to the Bible, right? Look to the Bible for those hard standards. And then the standard beyond that, stuff that may cause you to sin personally, those are your self standards that, you know, maybe you shouldn't push on other people, but you can have those and voice that you have those standards.
So it makes me think of somebody that we're friends with that they shared with us at one point that they didn't let their kids watch Toy Story, and not because there was anything wrong with Toy Story or that they felt like Toy Story was inappropriate, but because their kids picked up from Toy Story the negative aspects and not the storyline of Toy Story isn't negative, but just, you know, some of the characters here and there would, I think, say like they would call somebody an idiot or something like that. And that's what their kids, for whatever reason, picked up on in that movie. And they found that when they watched that movie, their kids would start saying, you know, that to each other. And we're not using it. I mean, you shouldn't call anybody an idiot, but, you know, they were saying things to each other that they shouldn't say. And so they just decided that their kids weren't going to watch Toy Story.
Sure.
Which is totally fine. And I feel like it's the same with our kids too, is it's like you can have a really great storyline, but for whatever reason, your kid doesn't pick up on the moral of the story. They picked up on they were being mean to each other, and that's how we're going to act out with our dolls. Yeah, they pick up on that part. And so we've had to do that too, where we've, you know, taken a break from something or
a certain show that has good morals to it, right? The end of the story is that they were wrong, they got punished or whatever, they realized they were wrong. We're talking about a show on YouTube about it's Barbie characters or girls playing with these Barbie characters, which we won't name the channel because there's nothing wrong with the channel. Yeah. It's just we're not going to name it. But yeah, our kids were picking up those aspects where they were going to get in trouble for those aspects.
Right. They were just trying to show, you know, realistic relationships between
sister or cousins
and or just friends. And, you know, like this person, you know, like this friend is jealous of this friend. And so they act out. But in the end of these stories, they always end up either, you
apologizing.
Know, they get in trouble for what they did wrong. They apologize and they end up, you know, making up for what they did, or it ends up a good story.
Right.
It ends in the right way.
Right.
And our kids just were not picking up on it. And so we took a long break from it and explained to them why we were taking a break from it. And they actually stopped doing a lot of it
And now we let them kind of watch one here and there, and
Right.
just not as much and as frequently as we were.
It did help, though, because they're seeing these dolls being mean to each other. And so when they would play with their dolls, I hear them being mean, like
Right.
mean. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And they're like, well, the dollies are doing it. I'm like, yeah, but you're making them
You're
do
controlling
that.
the dollies. Yeah, right.
You know, and you guys are like making each other mad by doing that. And so it's not doing anything good for anybody.
Right.
And those are things that I think we're talking about, that if you have those kinds of situations or other situations with what you're watching and it's not adding anything good to your life, then and it's a negative impact on you, then you probably shouldn't watch it.
And likewise, you know, you mentioned, sweetheart, the on the last episode podcast about the leader in the church that was trying to pressure you guys kind of about watching that movie you guys weren't supposed to watch. You know, we have to be careful too, even with our standards. Our standards, we might be more free in Christ in our standards on some aspects that aren't crossing those hard line, like biblical truths. There's some Disney movies that we allow our kids to watch that your sister and her husband don't want their kids to watch at this point in time for various reasons. And it would be wrong for us to try to pressure them into letting their kids watch it or having because then we become the stumbling block at that point. And so you have to be careful when you're dealing with other people. And this is part of the growing together in a relationship as brothers and sisters in Christ, is you don't want to be the stumbling block. You may have a freedom in Christ. And this pertains to many things. You know, we've talked about it on the podcast about even alcohol back when we were talking about is, I forget what the episode name was. Alcohol is sin, basically, is what we were going over, is drinking a sin. And how it may not necessarily be a sin, but it may be a stumbling block for other believers. So you have to be careful with the freedom that you have depending on who you're around, right? And go back and listen to that episode because there's a lot more to it. I'll actually put it in the show notes. I'll type it in a sec. Remind me to type that in after the show, to put that in the show notes. But
pressure.
Yeah. So this is it's one of those things that just because you have a freedom or your standards, my standard's different than your standard, Janeal, that I have to be careful or you have to be careful, vice versa, depending on if my standard, like if I have a standard that's like, I'm not going to watch this, and then you come along and you're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, oh, come on, you need to watch that. And it's kind of pressure. And I'm feeling a little convicted because I've done that with your mom. Well, I've done that with her mom several times about a movie.
You're talking about Saving Mr. Banks?
Yes, I am.
Well, I've done that too.
Because it's PG-13, and she said, no, we're not watching PG-13. That's and I'm like, come on. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's one swear word, and they show some alcoholism, but it's her standard, and it's, Mom, if you're listening, I repent to you publicly because I shouldn't pressure anybody or become a stumbling block for anybody in those situations. And we have to be careful in those situations so we don't become stumbling blocks. So the chosen versus the world. I mean, I guess this is my final thought, and I'll let you give your final thought and we'll land the airplane here.
Okay.
But the chosen versus the world, look at Christian entertainment. I think I'm just going to do a quick overview of one. Go watch The Chosen if you haven't watched it. There's a free app, The Chosen app. You can watch it for free. They require no payment. You can watch it as many times as you want for free. As far as Christian entertainment goes, I think Christian entertainment is good. It's wholesome for the family. Most times, I do think that there needs to be, in some aspects, some realism and not so much hallmarkiness. I know I've used that as a derogatory word now. There's nothing wrong with to each his own on Hallmark. I won't say there's nothing wrong because there is that.
It depends on the movie.
There's some stuff on Hallmark that I'm like, but so I think that it's important to have some realism in Christian entertainment. I think that we have to look at the standards that the Bible sets up for us and make sure we hold fast to those standards, and then look at our own personal lives and our walks and how things affect us and set up those other safeguards to keep us from falling into sin or becoming stumbling blocks for other people, depending on who we're around. It's just another good reason to, the Bible talks about how the tongue is sharper than any two-edged sword. If I'm just going out blurting off things with my mouth all the time and not knowing who I'm saying what to, I could get myself into trouble or cause somebody to stumble, and so I got to be careful with that. And again, conviction overwhelms me. Not that I purposely try to do that to anybody, but I'm sure I have. And so that's kind of my final thought. I think that entertainment is okay within reason. You must be careful, and each individual must evaluate it for themselves past the hard stance. I keep saying that because it's so important. I don't want anybody to mishear me or misunderstand what we're saying, that there is a biblical standard on a lot of topics, right? And those things that aren't covered in the scripture, those gray areas, quote unquote, I think we need to establish standards for ourselves wherever those standards look like. So that's my final thought. What you got, Janeal?
Well, you kind of covered it all.
Well, dadgummit. Let's go down to the county fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. I think The Chosen, is something that I think everybody should give it a try because it is really good. Whether or not you want to continue watching this series for whatever reason, that is totally up to you. And if you feel like it's just not your cup of tea because you feel like it is being disrespectful to the Bible,
sure,
then that's totally up to you. But yeah, I think Christian entertainment is definitely a good thing. And I think we do need it because there's way too much junk out there.
Sure.
And yeah, I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, if that's all you got, I think we all know what it's time for.
Time for Fun Facts with Fuller.
And there it is, our little nuggy nug, our oldest daughter now, and it just warms my heart every time I hear it. And I've said that through several podcasts.
She doesn't laugh like that anymore, though.
I know.
Now she does this little high pitched thing that
she follows after her daddy.
I think she's just copying Bluey.
Sure.
Way Bluey and Bingo laugh.
All right. Well, the fun fact. Do you want to read this fun fact? It's an easier one. No. You're just scared of reading the fun fact.
I can't read that far away. I do not have my glasses on.
Do you want me to hand it to you so you can be like, yeah, let me squint? But anyways, the fun fact of the day. Janeal, did you know? This is more for Mark. I should have saved this for Mark. But did you know that freelancers originally referred to self-employed? They were sword-wielding mercenaries. Literally, they were free lancers. They had free lances.
Yeah.
Not really, but kind of, sort of. Sure. Anyways, thanks for joining us today on Real Talk Christian Podcast. We appreciate you guys being with us each and every week. Janeal, thank you again for filling in for Mark while he's down in Knoxville just partying it up. Not really, but he is
you're
down
welcome.
there.
Mark, come back soon because this is really your spot.
she told me in between podcasts. Can I share this real fast?
Yeah, I don't care.
She told me in between podcasts, this is harder than it sounds.
It's
I'm
just
like,
awkward.
it is a little bit more difficult than what most people would realize. But again, you guys can reach out to us at realtalkchristianpodcast.com. At that place, you can hit all of our episodes. You can do just about everything. You can email us. If you didn't want to go there and you just wanted to email us, realtalkchristianpodcast@gmail.com. You could also text or call us. We may answer the call. We may not. We have full-time jobs. But text always works, 574-400-5352. If you have not done so already, if you're on Facebook, we have a new Facebook community group, Real Talk Christian Podcast Community. Go ahead and join that. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Janeal, is there anything that I'm missing?
Not on Snapchat yet?
No, we don't do the snap crack.
I'm not on Snapchat.
So I think that covers it all. If you haven't left a review yet on Apple's iTunes, you still have a chance to enter the 100th review giveaway. We're going to draw a name out of the 100 reviews and give away a study Bible and some other stuff. Is there anything else I missed? I don't think so. Well, I guess until next time.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.